Welcome to Back to School Night. Night parents of the freshman multimedia class, Business Marketing Technology Pathway. My name is Peter Cheney, and I'm the teacher for both this class and the senior level marketing, sales, and service class. Today we'll go over the class requirements, the syllabus, kind of some of the key assignments that we'll be doing through the year. Just to give you an idea of what's going on, show you where you can find the syllabus, some contact information from me, and then we'll be good to go. So I've got the schedule up here of the Back to School Night schedule for our reference, so I'll just get going. So again, we're in the Business Marketing Technology Pathway. You are sitting in the meeting for freshman level multimedia class. And so what I'll be going through is these things. So the syllabus overview. I'll go through the syllabus really quickly. I don't need to read to you. You can find it on Teams and Google Classroom, so for the details on that. Then I'm going to go through class material in some depth. And for this multimedia class, we go through graphic design, photography, animation, videography, and music creation as the main themes, and I'll just kind of talk about a few of those projects. I want to talk about Microsoft Teams versus Google Classroom in terms of when we use it and why. I'll show my contact information, and then if you have any questions at the end or any other feedback about class material or grading policy or homework or anything else, then we will definitely have time for that. So moving on to the syllabus portion. Okay, so the syllabus can be found in two different locations, as I said. So let's start with the Microsoft Teams. So if you were in the Microsoft Teams for your student, you would go to the General channel, and you would see files right here and class materials, and this is where you would find the syllabus. And so the syllabus just has some class expectations. We are a computer lab, so we try to keep the beverages and food to a minimum. Cell phone policy is ever changing, but we'll figure that out before October. And then we just kind of go through the course description as far as different things, and I'm going to go over that in detail throughout this video. So grading policy, plagiarism, cheating, absences and tardies, all that good stuff. So if you want to access through Teams, that's how you do that. If you want to find it on Google Classroom. And you can access your students' Google Classroom, by the way, by getting me an email today before you leave, and you can actually have access to this as well. So to find it in Google Classroom, once you get access, it'll be under Class Resources. There's multimedia syllabus for this year, and that'll be the same document that we saw in Teams. Okay, so moving on, we'll go here, and that's what I just showed you, so I can move on to class material. So the 6 main things that I talked about, that's what the next 6 slides will be, and then some actually. So at the very beginning of school, what we're going through is kind of the Windows world, typing, and slide decks. So some of the key things we'll be doing, we have already started, and we'll be doing for the next few weeks is keyboard shortcuts, mouse shortcuts, screenshots, screencasting, doing file structure with both Google Drive and OneDrive, and then just workflow stuff. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details about how to use PowerPoint and Google Slides, because we'll be using that for graphic design and other projects. And then touch typing, the one that all the students hate, but the one skill they'll need. We are going to learn how to type without looking at our fingers at least 25 words per minute before the end of the year. So every day when we come in, we are practicing these techniques. I'll be using typing.com to do some tracking and teaching with the typing. We'll have quizzes periodically, every other week probably, for touch typing, and I do have hand covers for when we are ready at that stage. Next, we're talking about graphic design. Just really quickly, I want to show you what I mean by graphic design. In terms of business, this is the Business Marketing Technology Pathway. We're talking about visual identity graphic design, so that could be letterhead and business cards and some product stuff, brochure stuff. And then we have marketing and advertising graphic design, which is the bulk of what we'll do. So report covers, product, wrapping stuff, which funny enough, we have the equipment to do in my senior class. Infographics, signage, email marketing templates, PowerPoint presentations, and more. User interface stuff, so when we get into coding, this is where that'll come into play as far as what your user experience looks like. And then We'll get into graphic design with publications a little bit. Not as much maybe with the books, newspapers, and newsletters, but maybe some report and magazine stuff. Packaging, definitely we'll get into that. In fact, our senior class last year did a logo for the first ever Bullard Brew coffee. And I've actually got a bag of that here in the classroom in case you're interested in seeing it and or purchasing it from our store. Motion graphic design would be kind of the typography stuff, some of the video motion stuff that we'll get into with animation. That could be promotional videos, and tutorial videos, and website stuff that we do later. Environmental graphic design would be signage, office, branding, retail store interior stuff. And lastly, art and illustration for graphic design. So that could be, again, motion graphics, t-shirt design, video game stuff, website, comic books, and more. So getting back to the presentation part, we'll be doing what I call the CRAP posters. So CRAP stands for contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity. We'll get into typography stuff, color theory stuff. There's a word cloud assignment that we'll do that's pretty fun for graphic design. Moving on to photography. Okay, when it comes to photography, some of the key assignments, we'll be doing some very simple image editing using on our computer tools, and also like Pixlr, which is a website that kind of looks like Photoshop but is free and kind of watered down a little bit. We'll go through the history of photography, and then we'll do a few assignments related to the elements of photography. Moving on to animation, we'll do the history of animation. We'll do like a couple flipbook things. I'm hoping to do a stop motion animation project again. And then we'll do a lot with Pixar. They have these curriculum things that show how Pixar made their stuff. Videography, we'll do the history of cinema and video. We'll do some video composition projects kind of similar to the photography, talking about the difference between photography and videography. We have a how-to video project, which everybody that's been on YouTube seen a how-to video, so we're going to make one in class as well. And then their final class project is actually going to be on their own school YouTube channel, and they're going to make a video that basically summarizes the entire year. And they'll be responsible for scripting, for camera setup, for voicing, for the editing of the video. Every component that would be necessary to put that video together is part of their final project. And lastly, we get into some music creation, coding and video game design if we have time, but the music part is kind of important because when we upload to YouTube, we can't use popular music because of copyright issues, so it's easier just to make our own stuff. Or we have the alternative of going for copy-free music, which there's a few websites that we can do. Coding is going to be simple HTML, CSS stuff. We'll do some video game design. That's like kind of last on the priority list, but the most fun, and we'll hopefully get to that at the end of the year if we have time left over. So, Microsoft Teams versus Google Classroom. Here's the difference. Microsoft Teams I will primarily use for messaging purposes and maybe posting some broad information about the class. Google Classroom is the heart of our classroom, so that's where every assignment is posted and where every assignment is going to be turned in and graded. So Microsoft Teams for info, Google Classroom for most of our assignment stuff. Okay, so next I'll show my contact information, and let me just kind of maximize that so for maximum viewing. And I want to swap these. Oops. Now let's just keep it that way. I think you can see. So here's the street address. Here's my email address. We have @BlueNation55, which is our Instagram, and for our, let's actually put that in while we're making the video. Our website, our store website, is BlueNation55.com. And in case you are interested in seeing what the next level of this is at the senior level, or you just want to see what's in the store to purchase, go ahead and do that. And so now I will open it up for questions from you. Thank you very much for listening and watching about what the multimedia class is all about in the Business Marketing Technology Pathway.